What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We've kind of been covering a little bit of a theme the past few weeks, talking about media, right? We did a video where we broke down how media is created, how we build our commercials. We recently talked about AEP and how media is affected during that time period. Last week, we brought on Heidi Mertlich, and she talked about media creation for email marketing campaigns. So this week we're going to continue that theme and talk specifically about how media duration matters and how the duration of our medias can not only affect the campaign itself, but also how it impacts our costs and how it impacts how much time you have to relay a message to the consumer.
Yeah. So that pretty much was said perfectly. And we're going to talk about how it impacts across all platforms. So anybody who's watching this does not mean you have to go air a commercial. This doesn't mean you have to go on broadcast TV or stream a commercial. This can apply to a Facebook ad that you're using a video for. This could apply to your TikToks.
Yeah.
Basically, all platforms have their time frames that they like, what works, what doesn't. And we're going to kind of dive into why and what we would do.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we should touch on as well. We don't just run only on YouTube. Jeff has mentioned it in many of our videos. We run on places like Roku, Hulu. You just said TikTok, Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So let's dive into, for anybody watching this that's never run video ads, or if you have and you want to know how to kind of take it to the next level or find one of those metrics that could change the game for you, let's talk about why it actually matters for that side of things. All right. So like David said here at the beginning of the video, duration impacts price. That's the first thing that you need to keep in mind. And the reason it impacts cost is way more simple than people make it seem. And I mean, the biggest thing to keep in mind is that when you're running any kind of video, the longer it's running, the more that platform's going to charge you, right? You're getting more airtime, you're getting more exposure, and you're taking up slots that they can't sell to somebody else. So that's the first reason that costs are impacted, is because you're simply controlling the platform for a longer duration of time. With that being said, the typical metric you see whenever you run any kind of video ads, whether it's on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, a streaming platform, it's called CPM. So those costs are going to rise or be preset at a higher dollar amount.
And what is CPM?
CPM is your cost per 1,000 impressions. So something that is only going to take 15 seconds of a advertising slot during a TV show is going to have a lower cost per 1,000. An impression doesn't even necessarily mean a view, which is also important for people to understand. An impression is simply it played. It was put on Facebook. It was scrolled past. Completely different from a view. Platforms really don't care how many views you get, to be honest. That's your job to optimize to get the views. They just charge you if they're going to put it out there, essentially. So that's one of the reasons duration does matter, because if you need more time to relay something, which we're going to cover in our next point, you may need to just pay the higher cost per 1,000 impressions in order to, make a call to action actually take place. Another part of inflated prices are platforms actually try to deter the longer ads. Surprisingly, even though they can charge more for them, the main thing that we've seen for years is that platforms always try and claim that they want user experience to be at its highest, and longer ads, in the history of digital media, have been shown to be more annoying or less appealing to consumers. So even though the platforms will sell it to you, shockingly, right? Like, they'll sell you whatever you want on an ad platform if you're willing to pay for it, but they don't want those. So another thing that is common is just the price is inflated because it's a deterrent. Essentially, they don't really want those really long, lengthy ads. They don't want the old school, Chuck Norris working out 30-minute infomercials. Like, those are a thing of the past. Even though
I miss those.
Yeah,
I miss the Billy Mays days.
And look, how many years did that run for? Clearly it worked. So whoever was in charge and just like, hey, these suck, they're wrong, because people were clearly watching it and buying those things. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept airing it. Like, QVC still sells how many millions of products a year? And that's literally a 1-hour commercial for a product.
Yeah.
So, end of rant. So to sum up that point is longer, more expensive, higher CPM, cost per 1,000. Shorter, cheaper, less expensive, right? And lower cost per 1,000. That's how those relationships work between price and duration.
So talking about shorter durations, longer durations, and how the platform, I guess they almost kind of want to incentivize like running shorter ads, and it's almost like you're being punished for running a longer ad, right? Um, Even though we have seen and with other companies out there putting longer ads out, we know that they work and they're successful, but we've also seen that that kind of doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah, 100%. So that's a huge point for everybody watching this to understand. Again, doesn't matter if you're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever the case is. If you've learned that your audience responds to a longer message, you should run the longer ad. Just because it's cheaper to run something for 15 or 30 seconds doesn't mean that that's optimized or the correct way to do it. Some audiences need more time to have pain points set in that's in your message, or to have call to actions repeated multiple times. Some products just need more explanation in order to convince people that it's safe to click or to call or to text a phone number. There's a lot of reasons why none of what I just said matters. All we really wanted to point out is that there is a relationship between longer, more expensive, shorter, cheaper. But if your message is longer and that's what it takes to get the job done, you should stick in that sweet spot for yourself.
I feel a large part of that is because of consumer training, how people watch commercials for the past 20 years, right? Think about Super Bowl commercials. 30 seconds, hot, on to the next one. Kids waking up for school in the morning, those commercials are 20, 30 seconds long about a cereal box. Where in general, with how media has been traditionally over the past 20 years, we're used to those short, quick hits of ads. So when people move into running their own ads, they come into it with that mindset because they're used to seeing that. That's what they're teed up. So they think, oh, that's what I receive. So that has to be what I put out there.
Yeah, and I mean, so you have that, and you have the branding side of things, and that works great for simple products that's just meant to brand. So, you know, Charmin toilet paper and Bounty paper towels can get away with 15 and 30-second advertisements, but an insurance product that's really boring,
And
even though it's
technical.
super needed, yeah. And it takes people know that they're going to have to give sensitive information. So the commercial needs to build some trust as well, or the video ad itself.
Mhm.
They need time to get to know the person that you're telling them to call, because nobody wants to call somebody that they haven't seen for at least a few more seconds than 15, right? So that's a huge part of it. And then, I mean, the world is just, the attention spans are going down. And again, that's the social platforms really running off of that, psychological point that they know attention spans are dropping. They know that they only have a certain amount of time to get you. So they want the short ads because they want you to stay on that platform. They don't want you to close that app and move to a different platform. They want the experience to be great. Doesn't mean that that's what you should do. Again, especially in my opinion, in this industry, it's really tough to get the job done in 15 or 30 seconds in this industry in particular. Another thing that's important to understand too with durations and whether it's short or long is a lot of platforms. So if you leave the traditional platform like Facebook, from just a basic video ad running from your business branded page, to something like OTT or a streaming style commercial, not broadcast, is the durations are fixed essentially. And you can't be very, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but the deviation is very small on this. Like if they want a 60-second, I think we found that it needs to be like 59.5.
Yeah, if you want a 60-second, or they want a 60-second ad in the slot, you have to give them 59:30. So like 59 seconds and 30 milliseconds.
Yeah. So
Right.
those are fixed. Like you have to learn to give your messages clearly as possible in 15 seconds, 30, 45, 60, 90, and 120, I believe is what it goes up to right now, all the way up to 2 minutes for the longest.
Yep. And also one thing too, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, because I don't think people realize how important a second is, right? Like here, let's do 3 seconds real quick, and I'm just gonna put the timer, and I want them to hear the silence of it, okay?
Yeah.
Because that time matters. So if you have to cut yourself off to a hold on, let me just do this real fast. I'm going on a tangent here, but it's okay.
This was not in our script.
No, no, it was not in the script, but I want to just show these guys how much that matters. All right, so I'm talking to you right now, and I'm going to stop talking. Those 3 seconds were the silence was deafening,
Yeah,
right?
that's call us right now. Maybe
Yes.
even twice if you're at 1.5 speed on a video. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in an advertisement in those seconds that you have.
That when you get a strict parameter on your ad and it's down to the millisecond, it changes how you build the ad.
Yeah, so for like practical advice for somebody that's trying to create, let's say a Facebook ad, because that's probably more going to be more common for people watching this than going for a full blown commercial. An actual tip you can implement so that you can start really executing on, what we're trying to give you in this video would be you need to really look at your advertisement and find out what is needed and what is not, because we've had to do that hundreds of times where you have to cut something that may seem kind of cool or seem kind of needed, but it's not, because maybe just telling them to call one more time is more important. Maybe a few seconds of them just being able to see you and your business and your brand to build some comfort is more important than a piece of stock footage of an older couple sitting on a couch going over their final expense bill. You have to really find out what you think is the most important for your consumer. And the only person that can do that is you. So are you trying to get a cheaper call and you want some of those painful things in the video that drive some emotion to get a call? Or would you rather use your extra 15 seconds to show yourself or maybe state your name a few extra times so that they know who's calling? And it's an easier sale. So a more expensive call, but the call itself goes a lot smoother. Or are you trying to drive a cheaper call? Like, you need to sit, write these things down and figure out what it is for you and your business that's going to work, because at the end of the day, that's why duration matters. These are the options you have. And with the duration that you give yourself, another thing that you can put into practice here is making sure you have the big things that are going to drive the most engagement and drive the most results for you. So your time slot, so to speak, should be packed with call to actions, and it should reemphasize them, because sometimes people need to hear things more than once. That's why big companies like State Farm, they run commercials until that's my 5-year-old knows every slogan from State Farm and most of the actual commercials and the acting in them. They do that for a reason. So they're winning. Like, they know what they're doing. You need the call to actions. You need, clear and concise phone numbers, or if it's a click, it needs to be very visible. You need to understand the device that you're actually going to make the video for, so it's actually formatted and it fits it correctly. You need to build trust. You need to hit some pain points. And something that David is best at, because he's going to cover a little bit of the media and the testing that we do here next, is it's best if you can tell a little bit of a story inside of it. If you have the time to do it, a story with a beginning and an ending tends to resonate really well with consumers.
Yeah. Let me tag off of that. We have tested variations in pretty much every facet that you could think of, even going back to when we're talking about the durations. We've tried 15, 30, 60, 90, 120. We've tried them all, right? That changes how the creative is made. It changes everything about the creative. You can't get a full narrative that drives home what we're covering, insurance, in 30 seconds. It's really hard to do. Um, we've also tested, talking about narratives, different narratives. We've tried putting a scene, filming it on set of somebody that is actively buying life insurance. We've tried shooting a mock funeral. We've tried just allowing us to have an actor on the green screen that's educating the consumer on it. So all those things, it affects the overall production of the campaign, right? It's not like you're looking at the duration on one end and then the narrative and the media on one end. They all go together.
Exactly. I mean, one of the best things you guys could do is start with the video that was posted a few weeks ago that David put together on just how a commercial is put together. So you can that's going to help kind of let you see that part of it. And then you can really kind of start to picture, okay, this is why time matters. in the commercial. And then another one, whenever we're talking about price from our first point that we made, you have to be willing to adjust if you need to. And we try it and we test a lot of different times of the year in different media. But right now, as we all know from our AEP video, the costs are through the roof. So a shorter commercial right now is going to have a better chance at A, being cheaper, and B, honestly, just getting an air spot. You'd be
Yep.
surprised at how difficult, even if you're willing to pay, it is to get spots on any platform. Facebook prices are going to be up. YouTube prices are going to be up. Streaming platforms are going to be up. You have to be willing to pivot and move around a little bit based on, holidays, time of year, seasonality, and what quarter it is. So it's important to not just plan this video out and be like, okay, I need 60. You're going to probably need a batch of all of them, and you're going to have to test, like we've been saying in a lot of these videos. And that's ultimately what it's going to take for you to find the best creative for your business.
Yeah. And let's just throw in our little tagline from last week. We might think that something is going to work, but at the end of the day, the data is only going to be the truth, right? We might think that 15 seconds is going to work, but the reality is, or maybe 60 is going to work. And you don't know
Yeah.
that till you test.
Yeah. I mean, another tagline you could use right now, too, it'd be two of them, but they always say in like motivational videos, like if you're going to start something, do it right now. No more excuses. For this, start it January 1st. Like this, it's a very tough environment this time of the year, but making the creative, sure. Get busy, start making it. But if you're just getting into this, probably not the best time to do a testing phase right before the holidays and everything else that's going on right now. But yeah, you hit a spot on with that. All right. So to recap, why duration matters for any kind of media on any platform is one, there is a correlation and a relationship between duration and price. Longer, more expensive; shorter, cheaper. Longer, easier to relay a message; shorter, more difficult to relay a message. Number two is you're going to have to test different creatives to figure out how long it takes you to relay that message for your specific audience that you're trying to reach and for that buyer that you want. Some of you are going to want somebody fully qualified and really easy on the phone. Some of you are going to be okay with just a cheap call because you're great at sales once you get them on the phone. That's the part you're going to have to test, perfect, and optimize on your end. Again, guys, be sure to check out that video that David made that breaks down the entire creation process for these commercials. That's going to make this make way more sense, in my opinion. You should go back, check that out. And then if you want to see more about like why seasonality matters or why I said to start this in January, which is a joke, you can start it whenever you want. If you want to spend the money, go for it. You should also go check out the video about AEP and seasonality and why the pricing gets so impacted this time of the year, because that has a really big part of everything that we're talking about in this video when it comes to pricing, durations, and just bidding and fighting for those ad slots. Both of those are going to be a huge help. Again, for everybody watching, drop some comments about what kind of videos you want to see, what topics you need covered, because we can't help you as effectively just making what we want to make. If you let us know, we're happy to make it. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when these come out, and be sure to subscribe before getting out of here. And we will catch you in the next video.